Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you. Maybe we could kick off with a brief introduction for Ear for Eye. What can people expect if they're going to watch this?
I think that what they should expect is something raw, beautiful, challenging. It's a challenging piece of work, and I think that we need to be challenged as an audience. We need to see things that we might not be comfortable with, but it's all part of our collective growth.
And why is Debbie Tucker-Green such an important voice in both theatre and film now, with this being translated to the big screen?
Debbie Tucker is super important because I think that somebody that can write so well, that can write about the human experience in such a way, especially the human experience of marginalised communities, they can write about it in such a way that really pulls at your heartstrings and asks you to be more open. That's the kind of writer that I think we should all be paying attention to, and this is the time to do it.
And do you think you're seeing a shift now in what stories are being told or allowed to be told to kind of broader audiences? And what is the impact of that?
I definitely see a shift in the stories that we're getting to see in terms of mainstream spaces, and it's happened obviously because of the tragic murder of George Floyd. People are wanting to know more. How did this happen? How do we live in such a society that is so vast in terms of the disparity that we face in terms of privilege? So I think that this is what the stories that Debbie Tucker-Green, this is what her stories allow us to be engaged in, to see that we need to be challenged, we need to know more about the things that are happening around us, but she tells it in such a way that we can find our own human experience in the experiences that are being shown to us.
And do you feel positive about the future? Do you think that, like, with the protests and the awareness that's been drawn to kind of like injustices and particularly along racial lines, is having a positive impact, or have we still got a long way to go?
I think it can be both. I'm hopeful, but I still believe that there's a long way to go. We don't undo centuries of a dynamic that's been created. We don't undo that overnight, but I'm very, very hopeful. I mean, I wouldn't be wearing a shiny dress if I wasn't hopeful. But no, I'm very hopeful that collectively we're going to see a change that benefits us all.
And what a place for this film to be showing at London Film Festival in the capital of our country. In particular, do you think this is a city where we're both incredibly diverse, but also the place where change needs to happen the most?
Definitely. I think that living in London, one would think that, we're multicultural. I don't think we're multicultural. We are monocultural in terms of we have the British culture and that's what we stick to, but we are multi-ethnic. But when we get to the point where we are dealing with multicultures and we are celebrating them, not tolerating them, celebrating them, then that's when we know that we're on the path to true change. I definitely think it's a brave way to give us art. I've watched it. I watched it at the Royal Court, and I thought it was so mesmerising and so sort of immersive, like you're in it with the actors. It's really full on, so I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that translates on screen. But I feel like it's what people need to see. It's important. Debbie Tucker-Green is amazing because from one of the first plays I saw was Random, and again that was dealing with like knife crime and just young people dying in the midst of so much violence, but we're hearing that experience through the eyes or through the mouth of the sister who's playing numerous characters. Debbie challenges you as a writer, as an actor. She challenges you to see beyond just playing one role, but to consider the community that's also impacted by individual acts. So much has happened since 2020 with the death, of George Floyd. We're seeing uprisings, and I think a lot of people, especially mainstream audiences, don't quite know how to process protest. They don't know how to process collective anger. And Debbie wrote this at a time when people were still trying to find the vocabulary. So I think it's important, it's pertinent to have a conversation such as this in a mainstream space, such as the BFI, where we're seeing classic films that go on to be like conversations that are had globally. Debbie Tucker-Green deserves to be part of that conversation. I love the rawness in it. I think that sometimes we try to make stories that are hard palatable for audiences because we're scared that they'll disengage. Debbie doesn't do that. She gives it to you, and you are given the autonomy as the audience to make your decisions henceforth. I really would like the audience to take away truth. I think that there are truths that we don't get to experience and to have conversations about within mainstream dynamics, with the news and media and things like that, even with the films that are usually commissioned. So what Debbie's doing is important. People should take it on because it's another truth that they need to know.